Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the broken water recycler in front of him. The machine had been making strange noises for 3 days before finally giving up completely this morning. Now the entire colony of Haven's Rest was looking at him for answers he didn't have. The mining settlement on Kepler 442c had been their home for 2 years now. 2,000 people had come here looking for a better life, digging valuable minerals from the moon's rocky surface. They had built homes, schools, and even a small hospital. Everything was going well until 8 months ago when the solar storms hit their communication array. Since then, they had been completely cut off from Earth. No messages in, no messages out. The storms had fried their quantum relay stations, and they didn't have the parts to fix them. Jake had sent their only engineer, Sam Rodriguez, to work on the problem, but Sam kept shaking his head and saying they needed replacement components from Earth. Now this water crisis was making everything worse. Without the recycler working properly, they had maybe 3 weeks of clean water left. After that, people would start getting sick. Children would suffer first, then the elderly. Jake couldn't let that happen. He walked through the main corridor of the colony, passing families who looked at him with worried eyes. The Carter family sat at their kitchen table, Pete and Linda whispering quietly while their twin daughters played with old toys. The girls were only 8 years old. They deserved better than this. Dr. Helen Price approached him near the medical center. Her usually calm face showed concern that made Jake's stomach tighten. Helen had been a top doctor on Earth before coming here. If she was worried, things were really bad. "Jake, we need to talk," Helen said, pulling him into her office. "I've been checking our medical supplies. If people start getting sick from bad water, I don't have enough medicine to treat everyone. We're already low on antibiotics and basic supplies." Jake nodded grimly. Everything was falling apart at once. First the communications, now the water and their medical supplies were running low too. It felt like the universe was testing them, seeing how much they could take before breaking. Sam Rodriguez found them an hour later, his face covered in grease from working on the recycler. "I've got it running again for now," he said, "but it's just a temporary fix. The main filtration system is shot. We need new parts and we need them soon." That afternoon, Jake called a colony meeting in the main assembly hall. People filled every seat, with some standing along the walls. Parents held their children close. Everyone looked scared but tried to hide it. "Friends," Jake began, "I won't lie to you about our situation. We're facing some serious challenges. The water recycler is barely working. Our communication system is still down and our supplies are getting low." A man near the front raised his hand. "How long do we have?" Jake took a deep breath. "If Sam can keep the recycler running, maybe a month for water. Our food supplies are better. About 3 months if we're careful." Worried voices filled the hall. People started talking to each other, fear spreading like wildfire. Jake raised his hands for quiet. "But we're not giving up," he continued. "Sam is working on long-term fixes for the recycler. We're rationing water starting tomorrow, and we're going to keep trying to fix the communication array." After the meeting, Jake stood outside the hall as people filed past him. Some patted his shoulder in support. Others just walked by with empty eyes. The weight of responsibility felt heavier than ever. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He stood at his window looking out at the alien landscape. 2 small suns hung in the purple sky, casting strange shadows across the rocky terrain. It was beautiful in its own way, but right now it felt lonely and cold. 3 days later, everything changed. Sam Rodriguez burst into Jake's office, his face pale with fear. "Jake, you need to see this now." They ran to the communications center where Sam had been working on the broken equipment. He had managed to get one of the long-range sensors working again. The screen showed 3 large objects approaching their system. "Ships," Sam said quietly. "Big ones." "They're not human designs." Jake felt his blood turn to ice. In 2 years, they had never seen any signs of alien life. Now 3 unknown vessels were heading straight for them. The ships arrived in orbit 6 hours later. They were massive dark gray vessels covered in strange markings. Nothing like the sleek Earth ships Jake remembered. These looked aggressive, built for war. A transmission came through their emergency radio system. The voice was harsh and spoke broken English with an accent Jake had never heard before. "Human settlement. This is War Commander Thekmul of the Vaktar Empire. You have invaded our territory. You will abandon this world in 72 hours or face destruction. Remove all equipment and leave in your transport vessels. You have 72 hours. The transmission ended, leaving deadly silence in the communications room. Jake and Sam stared at each other in shock. Transport vessels? Sam whispered. Jake, our transport ships were destroyed in a mining accident last month. We have no way to leave, Jake's heart sank. They were trapped on this moon with hostile aliens demanding they leave. Even if they wanted to evacuate, they had no ships capable of carrying 2,000 people. Another transmission came through an hour later. This time it showed the aliens. They looked like giant lizards walking on two legs with yellow eyes and sharp teeth. Their leader, Thekmol, spoke with obvious contempt. Humans are weak creatures. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are toys. You will surrender your colony to the Vaktar Empire, or we will take it by force. This is your only warning. Jake gathered his senior staff in the meeting room. Helen Price looked terrified but determined. Sam Rodriguez kept checking and rechecking the sensor readings, hoping he was wrong about the ship's size and firepower. Colony Security Chief Ryan Murphy, who had been a police officer on Earth, studied the alien transmission with professional interest. What are our options? Jake asked. Ryan spoke first. We have hunting rifles and some mining explosives. Against ships that size, we might as well throw rocks at them. What about hiding? Helen suggested. The old mining tunnels go deep. Maybe we could take the children underground. Sam shook his head. Those ships have sensors that can probably see through solid rock. Besides, the aliens want our equipment too. They'll search every tunnel. Jake felt trapped. No weapons, no ships, no way to fight or run. 2,000 people depending on him, and he had no answers. We need to try the emergency beacon one more time, he decided. Earth needs to know what's happening here. That night, Sam worked frantically to boost their emergency transmitter. Using parts from the broken communication array, he managed to increase the signal strength. Jake recorded a message he hoped someone on Earth would receive. This is Haven's Rest Colony on Kepler 4042c. We are under attack by hostile aliens calling themselves the Vaktar. They have given us 72 hours to evacuate, but our transport ships are destroyed. We cannot comply with their demands. If anyone receives this message, please remember us. The message went out into space, traveling toward Earth at the speed of light. But Earth was so far away that even if someone heard it immediately, help could never arrive in time. 68 hours remained. 24 hours remained until the Vaktar deadline, and Jake Morrison had barely slept. He walked through the colony corridors, watching people prepare for what might be their last day alive. Some families packed their few belongings, others just held each other close. The children seemed to sense something was wrong but didn't understand the danger. Sam Rodriguez worked desperately in the maintenance shop, surrounded by mining charges and electronic components. His hands moved quickly as he converted the explosive charges into crude bombs. The devices wouldn't do much against massive alien warships, but Sam hoped they might damage any landing craft that came down to the surface. How many can you make? Jake asked, watching Sam wire another detonator. Maybe 20 small ones, Sam replied without looking up. They're not much, but they might buy us some time if the aliens send ground troops. Ryan Murphy had gathered all the weapons in the colony. 12 hunting rifles, some mining tools, and a few old pistols that colonists had brought from Earth. It wasn't much against an alien invasion force, but Ryan cleaned each weapon carefully and distributed ammunition to volunteers who knew how to shoot. Dr. Helen Price worked in the medical center, preparing for casualties. She had moved all her supplies to the underground storage area, where they might be safer from orbital bombardment. Helen tried to stay busy, but Jake could see the fear in her eyes every time she looked at him. In the colony's small school, teacher Mary Williams tried to keep the children calm by reading them stories. The kids sat in a circle on the floor, their young faces trusting and innocent. Jake's heart broke watching them. They deserved to grow up to see Earth, to have normal lives. Instead, they were trapped on this distant moon with aliens threatening to kill them all. Young Danny Walsh found Jake near the main entrance. Danny was 18 years old, the son of maintenance worker Tom Walsh. The boy had grown up fast during their 2 years on Haven's Rest, helping with repairs and learning to operate mining equipment. Mr. Morrison, Danny said, his voice nervous but determined. I've been thinking about our situation. We have one small maintenance shuttle in the hangar. It's not much, but it's armed with a cutting laser for asteroid work. Jake looked at the young man carefully. What are you suggesting, Danny? Someone could take the shuttle up there and ram one of their ships. The cutting laser might damage their hull before impact. It would be a suicide run, but it might hurt them enough to make them think twice about attacking the colony. The idea hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. This teenager was volunteering to die for the colony. Danny, no. We're not sending kids on suicide missions. There has to be another way. Mr. Morrison, I'm not a kid anymore. I've been an adult for 3 months now. And there is no other way. Danny's voice remained steady despite his obvious fear. Someone has to try something. We can't just sit here waiting to die. Before Jake could respond, Danny's girlfriend, Katie Bell, appeared beside them. Her face was streaked with tears, but she looked determined too. If Danny goes, he's not going alone, she said firmly. Katie, no, Danny protested. The shuttle only has room for one pilot. Besides, I won't let you. You won't let me? Katie interrupted. Danny Walsh, we've been together for 2 years. If you're going to die fighting these aliens, then we die together. That's final. Jake watched the two young people argue about who would sacrifice themselves for the colony. The whole situation felt wrong. Children shouldn't have to make choices like this. Adults were supposed to protect them, not send them to their deaths. Nobody is taking any suicide runs yet, Jake said firmly. We still have time to think of something else. But deep down, Jake wondered if Danny's desperate plan might be their only option. That afternoon, War Commander Thekmal sent another message to the colony. The alien's reptilian face filled their communication screen, his yellow eyes showing cold amusement. Humans of Haven's Rest, the alien commander said. Your time grows short. My warriors grow impatient. Perhaps you need encouragement to understand your situation. The transmission ended, and Jake wondered what the alien meant by encouragement. He found out an hour later when the colony's main power plant exploded. The blast shook the entire settlement. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power grid went down. Jake ran toward the power plant with Sam Rodriguez and Ryan Murphy, but they were too late. The building was destroyed and 12 colonists who had been working inside were dead. Among the victims was Pete Carter, one half of the farming family Jake had known since the colony's founding. Linda Carter stood outside the wreckage crying hysterically while their twin daughters clung to her legs, not understanding why their father wasn't coming home. Dr. Helen Price worked frantically to treat the injured survivors, burns, broken bones, and severe cuts from flying debris. Her small medical center quickly filled with patients, and she had to set up additional treatment areas in the corridors. Jake helped carry wounded colonists while trying to stay calm. The alien attack had been precise, targeting their power generation without damaging anything else. It was a demonstration of power, showing the colonists exactly how helpless they were. They're playing with us, Ryan Murphy said quietly, as they moved an injured woman to the medical center. They could have destroyed the whole colony, but they just wanted to scare us. Sam Rodriguez checked the damage to their electrical systems. Half the colony was now without power, including the water recycler. Jake, we're in real trouble now. Without main power, the recycler will stop working completely in 6 hours. The situation was getting worse by the hour. No power, no water recycling, injured people, and alien warships orbiting overhead like vultures waiting for death. Jake felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. As night fell over Haven's Rest, Jake called another emergency meeting. This time, fewer people came. Some were too injured to leave their beds, others were helping care for the wounded. The assembly hall felt empty and cold without main power. Friends, Jake began, his voice hoarse with exhaustion. We've suffered a terrible blow today. We've lost good people, including Pete Carter. Our power is gone, our water recycling is stopped, and we have less than 18 hours before the alien deadline. The colonists sat in silence, their faces pale in the emergency lighting. Jake could see they were losing hope. Some people were already crying quietly. I want everyone to know that we've sent a distress signal to Earth, Jake continued. Even if help can't reach us in time, Earth will know what happened here. They'll know that Haven's Rest fought to survive. An old man near the back raised his hand. Jake, maybe we should surrender. Maybe if we give them what they want, they'll let us live. Give them what? Ryan Murphy asked angrily. They want us gone, but we have no ships to leave in. They destroyed our transports months ago in that mining accident. We couldn't leave even if we wanted to. Then what do we do? A woman called out. Just wait here to die? Jake looked around the room at the frightened faces. These people had trusted him to lead them, to keep them safe. Now he was failing them when they needed him most. We make our last stand, Jake said simply. We fight with everything we have. We show these aliens that humans don't surrender easily, and we hope that somehow, some way, help arrives before it's too late." The meeting ended quietly. People filed out slowly, returning to their families for what might be their final night together. Jake stood alone in the empty hall, wondering if he had just condemned them all to death. Outside, the alien ships waited in orbit like patient predators. Dawn would bring their final ultimatum, and Jake still had no answers. 6 hours remained. Far across the galaxy, Admiral Lisa Kane stood in the command center at Titan Base, reading the emergency message that had just arrived from Haven's Rest. The transmission was weak and broken, but the words were clear enough to make her blood run cold. Human colonists under attack. Alien ultimatum, no way to escape. "How long ago was this sent?" she asked the communications officer. "Based on the signal delay, approximately 4 days ago, Admiral. If their 72-hour deadline was accurate, we're already too late." Lisa Kane had spent 30 years in the Earth Defense Force, fighting pirates and rebels in the outer colonies. She had never lost a settlement under her protection, and she wasn't about to start now. Even if they were too late to save lives, they could still make the aliens pay for attacking human civilians. "Signal the Rapid Response Fleet," she ordered. "All ships, emergency launch protocols. We're going to Haven's Rest." The Earth Defense Force had been testing new faster-than-light technology for months. The experimental jump drives could cut travel time from weeks to days, but they were dangerous and untested. Ships had been known to suffer serious damage from emergency jumps, and some had never arrived at their destinations at all. Admiral Kane didn't care about the risks. Human lives were at stake. 3 ships prepared for the emergency jump. The battlecruiser EDF Retribution, commanded by Captain Roy Turner, was the newest and most powerful warship in the Earth fleet. Its weapons could destroy a small moon, and its armor could withstand direct hits from nuclear missiles. The assault carrier EDF Valkyrie under Captain Maria Santos carried 300 Earth Marines and dozens of fighter craft. These were the best soldiers humanity had ever produced, veterans of border wars and colonial conflicts. They had never lost a battle when defending human settlements. The stealth destroyer EDF Ghost Runner, captained by Alex Cooper, was the fleet's scout and assassin. Small and fast, it could slip past enemy sensors and strike without warning. Captain Cooper had used his ship to destroy pirate bases and smuggling operations across the Outer Rim. The 3 ships linked their jump drives together and prepared for the dangerous emergency protocol. Normal space travel to Haven's Rest would take 6 weeks. The emergency jump would get them there in 3 days, but the stress on ship systems would be enormous. "All ships report ready," Captain Turner announced over the fleet communication system. "Admiral Kane, we're prepared for emergency jump." "Execute jump protocol," Admiral Kane ordered from her command ship. "And may God help those colonists hang on until we get there." Space twisted around the 3 ships as their experimental drives activated. Reality bent and folded as they disappeared from normal space, racing across the galaxy faster than light itself. Inside the ships, crews braced themselves as hull plates creaked and energy systems overloaded from the stress. Colonel Ben Parker stood in the Marine briefing room aboard the EDF Valkyrie, addressing his 300 soldiers. These men and women had volunteered for the most dangerous missions the Earth Defense Force could offer. They wore powered armor that could stop bullets and carried pulse rifles that could punch through tank armor. "Listen up, Marines," Colonel Parker said, his voice carrying the authority of a man who had fought in a dozen wars. "We're going to rescue human civilians from hostile aliens. Intelligence is limited, but we know the enemy has at least 3 large warships and superior firepower." Sergeant Tony Blake raised his hand. He led Alpha Squad, 12 of the finest soldiers Colonel Parker had ever commanded. "Sir, what do we know about these aliens?" "They call themselves the Vaktar," Colonel Parker replied. "They seem to think humans are weak and easy targets. We're going to show them how wrong they are." The Marines checked their equipment as the ship continued its dangerous jump through space. Corporal Lisa Morgan tested her demolition charges, making sure each explosive device was properly armed. Private Jack Stevens cleaned his sniper rifle, a weapon capable of putting a bullet through an alien's head from 2 kilometers away. These soldiers had trained their entire adult lives for moments like this. They knew that somewhere in the galaxy, human families were counting on them for rescue. The thought of children in danger made their blood boil with anger. Meanwhile, in the engineering sections of all 3 ships, crews worked frantically to keep the jump drives stable. The emergency protocol was pushing the experimental technology beyond safe limits. Warning lights flashed throughout the ships as systems overloaded and backup generators kicked in. Captain Roy Turner watched his ship's status displays with growing concern. The EDF Retribution was holding together, but barely. Hull stress was approaching critical levels, and several weapon systems had already shut down from power overloads. Engineering, how much longer can we maintain this jump? He asked over the intercom. Maybe 8 more hours, Captain, came the reply. After that, we risk complete drive failure. Captain Turner did the math in his head. 8 hours would get them close to the Haven's rest system, but they might have to drop out of jump space early and cover the final distance at normal speed. Every minute could mean the difference between rescue and finding only empty space where the colony used to be. Captain Maria Santos faced similar problems aboard the EDF Valkyrie. Her ship was older and less equipped to handle the stress of emergency jumping. 3 of her fighter squadrons were grounded due to power failures, and her marine drop pods were showing system malfunctions. "Ma'am," her chief engineer reported, "we're losing structural integrity in sections 7 through 12. I recommend dropping to normal space for repairs." "Negative," Captain Santos replied firmly. "We maintain jump speed until we reach our destination. Those colonists are depending on us." Captain Alex Cooper's EDF Ghost Runner was having the easiest time of the 3 ships. Smaller and more maneuverable, the destroyer systems were handling the jump stress better than the larger vessels. Captain Cooper used this advantage to scout ahead, extending his sensors to maximum range. 2 days into the jump, Captain Cooper detected something that made his heart race. Energy signatures in the Haven's rest system, signs of recent weapons fire and explosions. The battle had already begun. "Admiral Kane," he reported over the fleet channel. "I'm reading weapons discharge in the target system. Multiple energy signatures consistent with orbital bombardment." Admiral Kane felt sick to her stomach. They were still a full day away from arriving, and the aliens were already attacking the colony. For all they knew, Haven's Rest was already destroyed and every human civilian was dead. "All ships, maximum emergency speed," she ordered. "I don't care if it tears our hulls apart. We're not letting those aliens get away with murdering our people." The 3 Earth ships pushed their drives even harder, racing through twisted space toward a battle they might already be too late to win. Behind them, normal space lit up with the energy discharge of their passage. Ahead of them, human civilians faced their darkest hour. In the Haven's Rest system, War Commander Thekmal prepared to destroy the human colony. His 3 warships had moved into final attack position, their weapons charged and ready to turn the settlement into molten rock. The Vaktar commander was pleased with himself. The demonstration attack on the power plant had shown the humans their hopeless situation. Now they would die knowing that resistance to the Vaktar Empire was futile. What Thekmal didn't know was that 3 ships full of very angry human soldiers were about to arrive in his system. The Earth Defense Force was coming, and they were bringing the full fury of humanity with them. The final phase of the journey began as Admiral Kane's fleet prepared to drop out of jump space. Whatever they found at Haven's Rest, they would make the aliens pay for every human life that had been lost. War was coming to the Vaktar Empire, and they had no idea what they had started by threatening Earth's children. 2 hours remained before the Vaktar deadline, when the colonists of Haven's Rest gathered in the main community center for what they believed would be their final moments together. Jake Morrison stood before his people, trying to find words of comfort when there were none to give. Children sat close to their parents while elderly colonists held hands with their spouses. War Commander Thekmal had moved his 3 warships into final attack position above the colony. The alien commander was enjoying this moment, savoring the fear he knew the humans must be feeling. In his experience, most species begged for mercy at the end. He wondered if humans would do the same. "Citizens of Haven's Rest," Jake began, his voice carrying through the silent room. "We've built something good here together. We've made homes, raised families, and created a community worth defending. Whatever happens in the next few hours, remember that we stood together when it mattered most." Danny Walsh sat with Katie Bell near the back of the room, still arguing quietly about his plan to ram the alien ships with the maintenance shuttle.
Katie had her arms wrapped around him, refusing to let go.
She had made it clear that if he was determined to die fighting, she would die beside him. Dr. Helen Price moved through the crowd, checking on people and offering what comfort she could. Many colonists were crying quietly, Others just stared at the floor in numb acceptance. The fear in the room was thick enough to touch. Sam Rodriguez had finished converting all the mining charges into improvised bombs. The explosive devices were hidden around the colony's main buildings, ready to detonate if alien ground troops tried to occupy the settlement. It wasn't much, but it was something. High above them in space, War Commander Thecamel opened a final communication channel to the colony. His reptilian face appeared on their emergency screens, yellow eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Humans of Haven's Rest," the alien commander said, "your time has expired. You have chosen death over wisdom. Your colony will serve as an example to other human settlements of what happens when you resist the Vaktar Empire." The transmission ended, and Thecmul gave the order to his weapons crews. The 3 Vaktar warships began charging their main guns, preparing to turn the human settlement into a crater of molten rock. What the alien commander didn't know was that 3 Earth Defense Force ships had just dropped out of jump space at the edge of the star system. Admiral Lisa Kane stood on the bridge of the EDF Retribution, watching her tactical displays as they detected the Vaktar vessels. "Contact," Captain Roy Turner announced. 3 large alien ships in orbit around the 4th moon. They're in attack formation. Admiral Kane felt a surge of hope mixed with fury. They had arrived just in time, but the aliens were already preparing to destroy the colony. Every second counted now. "All ships silent running," she ordered. "We approach using the asteroid field for cover. Captain Cooper, take the Ghost Runner ahead and prepare for first strike." The EDF Ghost Runner slipped away from the other ships like a shadow, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. Captain Alex Cooper and his crew had practiced this maneuver countless times, but never with human lives hanging in the balance. On Haven's Rest, the colonists felt the ground shake as the Vaktar ships powered up their weapons. The alien energy discharge created electromagnetic interference that made their lights flicker and their communication equipment buzz with static. "This is it," Jake Morrison said quietly to Sam Rodriguez and Ryan Murphy. "If we're going to make our stand, it has to be now." But before anyone could move, something extraordinary happened. New stars appeared in the sky above Haven's Rest, bright points of light that grew larger and brighter with each passing second. The colonists who were watching through windows began pointing and shouting. "Ships!" someone called out. "There are ships coming." Jake ran outside with dozens of other colonists looking up at the alien sky in amazement. 3 new vessels had appeared, sleek and familiar in design. They looked like Earth ships, but that was impossible. Earth was too far away to send help. War Commander Thecmul noticed the new arrivals at the same moment his sensors detected them. The Vaktar commander stared at his displays in confusion. Where had these ships come from? His long-range sensors had shown no sign of approaching vessels. The answer came in the form of quantum torpedoes launched from the EDF Ghost Runner. Captain Alex Cooper had maneuvered his destroyer into perfect position, using the system's asteroid field to mask his approach. Now he struck without warning, sending a spread of Earth's most advanced weapons directly at the nearest Vaktar ship. The torpedoes tore through the alien vessel's shields like they were made of paper. Explosions rippled across the Vaktar ship's hull as its armor plating buckled and split. The alien crew had never seen weapons technology this advanced, and they had no idea how to defend against it. "All ships, attack pattern Alpha," Admiral Kane ordered over the fleet communication system. "Show these aliens what happens when they threaten human civilians." The EDF Retribution and EDF Valkyrie emerged from the asteroid field with all weapons blazing. Energy beams and missile salvos lit up space as the Earth ships opened fire with everything they had. The Vaktar vessels tried to return fire, but they were caught completely off guard. Captain Roy Turner coordinated the fleet attack from his position on the Retribution's bridge. His ship's main guns fired continuously, sending streams of superheated plasma into the alien formation. The largest Vaktar vessel, Thecmul's flagship, took hit after hit as its shields overloaded and failed. Captain Maria Santos launched her fighter squadrons from the EDF Valkyrie while preparing her marine drop pods. The Earth fighters swarmed around the alien ships like angry wasps, their weapons picking apart sensor arrays and weapon systems with surgical precision. On Haven's Rest, the colonists watched in amazement as the space battle raged overhead. Explosions lit up the sky like fireworks, and the electromagnetic interference from the weapons fire made aurora displays dance across the alien atmosphere. "It's really them," Dr. Helen Price whispered, tears streaming down her face. Earth came for us. They actually came. War Commander Tekmul found himself fighting for his life as human weapons tore his fleet apart. The first Vaktar ship was already dead, its reactor core breached and its crew evacuating in escape pods. The second vessel was listing badly. Multiple hull breaches venting atmosphere into space. How is this possible? Tekmul demanded of his tactical officer. Human technology was supposed to be primitive. Their weapons should not be able to penetrate our defenses. The answer was that Vaktar intelligence had been completely wrong about human capabilities. Earth had been developing advanced military technology for decades, preparing for exactly this kind of alien threat. The Vaktar had attacked what they thought was a defenseless settlement, only to discover they had kicked a sleeping giant. The second alien ship exploded in a brilliant fireball that illuminated the entire moon. Debris from the destroyed vessel rained down harmlessly into the atmosphere, burning up before it could reach the surface. The colonists cheered and hugged each other as they watched their enemies die. Colonel Ben Parker's Marines launched from the EDF Valkyrie in their armored drop pods, racing toward the moon's surface as the space battle continued above them. The Marines knew there might be alien survivors who would try to take revenge on the colonists, and they were determined to prevent that from happening. Sergeant Tony Blake's Alpha Squad hit the ground first, their powered armor absorbing the impact as they crashed through the roof of the colony's main warehouse. The Marines quickly spread out, securing the area and looking for any signs of alien ground forces. Colony secure, Sergeant Blake reported over his radio. No enemy contacts detected on the surface. War Commander Tekmul's flagship was now alone against 3 human warships, its shields failing and its weapons systems damaged. The alien commander realized that his invasion fleet had been destroyed by ships he had never seen coming. The humans had surprised him completely, using technology and tactics far beyond what Vaktar intelligence had predicted. In desperation, Tekmul ordered his remaining ship to ram the largest human vessel. If he was going to die, he would take as many humans with him as possible. But Captain Roy Turner saw the alien ship's suicidal charge coming and ordered evasive maneuvers. The EDF Retribution twisted away from the ramming attack while its point defense systems opened fire. Hundreds of small weapons tracked the alien ship's approach, shredding its hull with concentrated fire. The Vaktar vessel broke apart before it could reach its target, its pieces spinning away into space. War Commander Tekmul found himself floating in an escape pod, watching the wreckage of his fleet drift past the observation window. In less than an hour, 3 human ships had destroyed his entire invasion force. The aliens who had thought humans were weak and primitive had been proven catastrophically wrong. The battle for Haven's Rest was over, and humanity had won. 3 hours after the battle ended, Jake Morrison stood in the colony's main entrance watching Earth Marines set up defensive positions around Haven's Rest. The soldiers moved with professional efficiency, their powered armor making them look like metal giants walking among the grateful colonists. Colonel Ben Parker approached Jake with his helmet tucked under his arm, revealing a weathered face marked by years of military service. The Marine commander had fought in dozens of battles across the galaxy, but he had never seen civilians more relieved to see Earth soldiers. "Mr. Morrison," Colonel Parker said, extending his hand, "I'm sorry we couldn't get here sooner. Admiral Kane sends her apologies for the close timing." Jake shook the colonel's hand, still hardly believing that rescue had actually come. "Colonel, you arrived at exactly the right moment. Another few minutes and we would all be dead." Around them, Marine engineering teams worked alongside colonists to repair the damaged power plant. Sergeant Tony Blake supervised the installation of portable generators that would restore electricity to the entire settlement. His Alpha Squad had become instant heroes to the colony's children, who followed the soldiers around asking endless questions about their weapons and armor. Dr. Helen Price worked with Earth medical teams to treat the injured colonists. The Marines had brought advanced medical supplies that made Helen's equipment look primitive by comparison. She watched in amazement as military medics used regeneration devices to heal burns and broken bones in minutes instead of weeks. "Doctor," one of the Marine medics said, "we can have your people fully healed within the next few hours. These injuries would have taken months to properly treat with your current supplies." Helen nodded gratefully, thinking about how close they had come to losing everything. The colony had been hours away from destruction, and now Earth's most advanced medical technology was healing their wounded. Corporal Lisa Morgan and her demolitions team, helped Sam Rodriguez disarm the improvised bombs he had placed around the colony. The marine explosives expert was impressed by Sam's work, even though his devices were crude compared to military equipment. "You did good work with what you had," Lisa told Sam as they carefully removed the detonators from a mining charge. These bombs might not have stopped alien warships, but they would have made any ground assault very expensive. Sam wiped sweat from his forehead, still amazed that he was talking to a real Earth Marine. "I just did what I could to protect our people. I never imagined Earth would actually send a rescue fleet." Admiral Lisa Kane came down from orbit aboard a transport shuttle, accompanied by Captain Roy Turner and Captain Maria Santos. The three officers wanted to personally inspect the colony and meet with the survivors. Jake Morrison organized a gathering in the community center, where the entire population could thank their rescuers. The Admiral stood before the assembled colonists, her uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's highest naval rank. She looked at the faces around her, seeing families who had come within hours of death, children who would now grow up safe under Earth's protection. "Citizens of Haven's Rest," Admiral Kane began, "what happened here was an attack on all of humanity. No Earth colony will ever again face this kind of threat alone. The Defense Force is establishing a permanent garrison in this system, and we're building orbital defense platforms that will protect you from any future alien aggression." The colonists burst into spontaneous applause, many of them crying with relief and gratitude. Jake Morrison stepped forward to respond on behalf of his people. "Admiral, we can never repay what you've done for us today. Earth was so far away that we thought help would never come. You and your people saved our lives and showed the galaxy that humanity protects its own." Captain Alex Cooper had spent the hours after the battle interrogating War Commander Thekmul, the captured Vaktar leader. The alien commander sat in a detention cell aboard the EDF Ghost Runner, his reptilian features showing fear and confusion. "Your intelligence about human capabilities was completely wrong," Captain Cooper told the alien. "Where did you get your information about Earth's military strength?" Thekmul stared at the human officer with yellow eyes that showed newfound respect mixed with terror. "The Vaktar Empire has observed human colonies for many cycles. Your settlements appeared weak, your technology primitive. We believed conquest would be simple. You made a critical error," Captain Cooper replied coldly. "You attacked civilians under Earth's protection. That was the worst mistake your empire could have made." The interrogation revealed that the Vaktar Empire had been planning a larger invasion of human space, using the attack on Haven's Rest as a test of Earth's military response. The aliens had expected no resistance at all, thinking humans were too weak and scattered to mount an effective defense. Instead, they had discovered that Earth possessed advanced faster-than-light travel, weapons technology that could destroy their best warships, and soldiers willing to cross the galaxy to protect human civilians. The information Thekmul provided would help Earth prepare for future alien threats. 3 months later, Haven's Rest had been transformed from a struggling mining colony into a fortified outpost of human civilization. The settlement now boasted modern power systems, advanced medical facilities, and defensive weapons that could repel any alien attack. Captain Maria Santos commanded the new Earth Defense Force base that had been built near the colony. 2 companies of Marines provided permanent security, while orbital defense platforms watched the space around the moon for any signs of trouble. The colony's population had grown to 3,000 people as new settlers arrived from Earth, drawn by the promise of frontier life under military protection. The mining operation expanded dramatically, providing valuable resources for Earth's growing interstellar empire. Danny Walsh and Katie Bell were married in the colony's new community center, with Colonel Parker serving as the best man. The young couple had become symbols of hope and determination, representing the human spirit that refused to surrender even in the darkest hour. Jake Morrison continued as colony administrator, but now he worked alongside Earth military advisors, who helped coordinate defense and expansion plans. The settlement that had once been isolated and vulnerable was now a key strategic outpost in humanity's growing network of protected worlds. Dr. Helen Price ran the new medical center, equipped with the most advanced healing technology Earth could provide. She often thought about how close they had come to losing everything, and how the arrival of Earth's warriors had changed their fate in a matter of hours. Sam Rodriguez led the engineering teams that maintained both civilian and military systems throughout the settlement. His jury-rigged repairs had been replaced with proper Earth technology, but everyone remembered how his improvised solutions had kept them alive during their darkest hour. War Commander Thekmul remained a prisoner on Earth, where his interrogations provided valuable intelligence about alien threats throughout the galaxy. The Vaktar Empire had abandoned all plans for human conquest after learning what happened to their invasion fleet. Word of the battle spread throughout known space, carried by traders and diplomats to dozens of alien civilizations. The message was clear. Humanity would defend its people with overwhelming force, and any species that threatened human civilians would face the full fury of Earth's military might. Other alien empires began requesting peaceful trade agreements with humanity, suddenly viewing Earth as a major galactic power rather than a collection of weak frontier settlements. The attack on Haven's Rest had backfired completely, transforming humans from victims into one of the most respected military forces in the galaxy. The final scene took place 1 year after the rescue, as Admiral Kane returned to Haven's Rest for the anniversary celebration. The colony now sparkled with lights visible from orbit, a thriving human city protected by the guns of Earth's fleet. Standing in the same community center where the colonists had once prepared to die, Admiral Kane addressed a crowd that included both original settlers and new arrivals. Children who had cowered in fear during the alien attack now played games with off-duty Marines, growing up in a world where Earth's protection was absolute. "Today we remember not just a victory but a promise," Admiral Kane said. "No human settlement will ever again face extinction alone. From the inner colonies to the farthest frontier, Earth watches over its children. Help will always arrive, no matter how far we must travel or how many enemies we must face." The crowd erupted in cheers as Earth fighters roared overhead in formation, their engines riding trails of light across the alien sky. Jake Morrison looked up at those lights and smiled, knowing that his people were safe under the protection of Earth's warriors. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.